The Grand Hall of the Intergalactic Alliance was unlike anything Earth had ever built. Its ceiling was a swirling dome of living light, showing the stars of every member world. The floor shimmered like glass, but felt warm, as if it remembered the footsteps of the countless leaders who had walked across it. The air carried strange scents, sweet from the gardens of the Zareth, metallic from the breath of the Velith, and sharp from the crystal blooms that grew between the pillars. Ambassador Talia Vance stood quietly near the edge of the crowd. She was the only human in the room, and she could feel hundreds of alien eyes on her. Some were wide and round. Some were black and without pupils. Others glowed faintly, shifting colors with each passing second. Humans were still new to the Alliance. Only 30 years had passed since Earth had joined, and in that time, humanity had surprised many species by surviving situations that should have been impossible. Pirates twice their size had been defeated by human crews. Negotiations that seemed doomed had ended with trade deals. Even rescue missions deep inside plasma storms had succeeded. Most aliens had one explanation for it. Humans are just lucky, they said. Their victories are accidents. A coin flip that happens to land in their favor. Talia had heard those words many times. She never argued. She only smiled and listened, because she knew the truth. Humans didn't survive by chance. They survived because they paid attention to the smallest details and made choices no one else dared to make. A deep gong echoed through the hall, silencing the conversations. At the far end, the Supreme Speaker stepped forward. The speaker's body was tall and transparent, with veins of golden light running through it like molten rivers. Their voice was soft and clear, yet it carried to every corner of the chamber. The matter before us, the speaker began, is the Omega Rift. At once, the room felt colder. Even the glowing pillars dimmed. A vast hologram appeared above the speaker, a map of a star sector, and at its heart, a swirling tear in space. It looked like a wound in reality, jagged at the edges, pulsing, with deep red and black energy. The rift has grown, the speaker said. In the last standard week, it consumed 2 colonies of the Avar Dominion. All ships sent inside have vanished. No signal. No debris. It is now moving toward the trade spine. A murmur swept through the hall. The trade spine was the lifeline of the galaxy, a chain of hyperspace routes that connected hundreds of worlds. If it was lost, the Alliance would break apart in chaos. A six-eyed Avar scientist clicked his mandibles nervously. We have sent fleets, drones, and probes. All are lost. Our models predict that within 40 days, the rift will reach the spine. From the left side of the hall, a voice called out, sharp and mocking. And what do the humans think they can do? Throw dice at it, and hope for the best. Talia turned her head just enough to see Zorthon Kree, a Velith diplomat. The Velith were known for their perfect memory, and even more perfect arrogance. He stared at her with unblinking silver eyes. Your kind has no ships fast enough, no minds sharp enough. Your victories have been nothing but chance. Zorthon continued. Several other delegates chuckled. Talia stepped forward, her boots making a soft thud against the glass floor. Perhaps, or perhaps, luck is simply the name you give to patterns. You do not understand. The laughter stopped for a moment, but the tension in the air remained. The speaker looked around the hall. We will form a task force to investigate the Omega Rift. Volunteers will be given full Alliance resources. Step forward if your world will lead. The silence that followed was heavy. No species wanted to risk their fleets on a mission where so many had vanished. Talia felt her heart beat faster. She knew the dangers. She also knew that if humanity stayed silent now, the rift would keep growing until nothing could stop it. Earth will volunteer, she said. The hall erupted in a mix of surprise, laughter, and disbelief. Some voices were sharp with anger, others with amusement. Zorthon leaned back in his seat, clicking his mandibles slowly. So the humans will throw themselves into the abyss. Fitting. Talia met his eyes without blinking. We have always gone into the dark, she said, and we have always found a way back. The speaker raised one glowing hand. It is decided. Ambassador Vance will lead the investigation into the Omega Rift. The task force will depart in 3 days. As the meeting ended and the delegates began to drift away, Talia stayed where she was, looking up at the swirling hologram of the rift. She didn't know exactly what it was. No one did. But something in her gut told her it wasn't just a hole in space. It was something alive, something aware, and it was watching. Far above the Grand Hall, the stars shone like cold diamonds. The rift's position on the hologram pulsed one last time before vanishing to the rest of the galaxy. Humanity's decision to face it might have looked like blind courage or pure luck, but to Talia, it was neither. It was the first move in a game no one else realized was being played. 3 days later, the human flagship Resolute drifted in the shadow of a blue giant star. Its dark hull reflected almost nothing, making it seem like a shape cut out of the stars themselves. Around it, the other ships of the Alliance task force gathered slowly, sleek insectoid cruisers of the Zareth swarm, wide silver discs from the Valeth Dominion, and needle-shaped scouts from the Avar Dominion. Talia Vance stood on the Resolute's command deck, watching the fleet appear one by one. The glass display in front of her showed names, designs, and statistics for each vessel. Most were faster, larger, or better armed than her own ship. She could already feel the doubt coming from their crews. Behind her, Captain Elias Rourke, a tall man with weathered features and calm eyes, stepped closer. "They don't want to be here," he said quietly. "They volunteered." Talia replied. "They volunteered because they expect us to fail first," Rourke said. Talia glanced at him. "Then we'll have to disappoint them." A soft chime signaled the arrival of the Velith command ship. The voice of Zorthon Kree came over the shared channel, smooth and cold. "Human vessel Resolute, we will proceed at safe distance. Do not engage in reckless maneuvers. This mission requires precision, not gambling." Rourke smirked, but kept silent. Talia only replied, "Understood, Velith Command." The fleet moved as one, entering the hyperspace corridor toward the Omega Rift. The stars stretched into white lines, and the view outside shifted into the endless blue haze of hyperspace. Hours passed, in tense quiet. When the fleet dropped out of hyperspace, they saw it, the rift. It hung in space like a wound that refused to heal. Black and red light twisted in slow spirals, as if the universe itself was bleeding. The edges of the rift glowed faintly, and strange arcs of energy leaped from one side to the other, like lightning trapped in slow motion. A chill ran down Talia's spine. Every instinct told her to stay far away. But humans had never been good at listening to fear. Zorthon's voice crackled over the channel. "All ships, hold position at 1,000,000 kilometers. Human vessel, proceed with your probe launch." Rourke gave the order. A small drone slipped from the Resolute's belly, engines glowing softly as it drifted toward the rift. For the first 20 seconds, it transmitted data, gravity shifts, radiation spikes, strange distortions in space-time. Then the feed cut out. No explosion, no signal, just nothing. "Lost contact," the Resolute science officer, Dr. Mira Chen, reported. Her voice was calm but tight. "It's not interference. The probe simply ceased to exist." The ship captain spoke sharply. "You see? A void beyond comprehension. We should retreat before more resources are wasted." Talia shook her head. "Not yet, Ambassador," the Avar Dominion commander hissed. "You have no countermeasure, no technology to shield us from." "Then maybe technology isn't the answer," Talia said. For a moment, no one replied. The idea sounded almost childish in a fleet filled with the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. But humans had always known that the newest tool wasn't always the right one. Sometimes the answer came from a different way of thinking. Talia turned to Dr. Chen. How far can we approach before our sensors fail? Based on the probe's data, Chen said, we could get within 100,000 kilometers before total collapse of systems. Talia looked to Rourke. Take us in. The Velith commander's voice rose sharply. You are insane. That is suicide. Not if we pay attention, Talia said. The Resolute edged forward. The stars around them began to warp, stretching and bending. The deck vibrated under their feet, and the air felt heavier. Dr. Chen stared at her readouts. Radiation levels spiking, time dilation increasing. We're moving slower from our perspective, but the rift's edges, they're pulsing faster. Pattern? Talia asked. Chen hesitated, then frowned. Maybe. The pulses aren't random. There's a rhythm, like a heartbeat. Rourke's eyes narrowed. If it's alive, it's reacting to us, Talia said softly. Outside, arcs of energy reached toward the Resolute, curling like fingers. The ship's shields shimmered, but held. The other ships stayed far back, their crews watching in disbelief. Talia leaned forward. Record everything. I want that pulse mapped. We leave when we understand it. For the next 12 minutes, the Resolute danced at the edge of the rift. Engines flared in short bursts, adjusting their position to avoid the arcs. Every move looked dangerous, almost careless, but each time, they slipped just out of reach. On the Velith command ship, Zorthon watched in silence. He had seen humans survive impossible things before. The fleet floated in uneasy silence. The Resolute had returned from the edge of the rift with data no one else had ever brought back. Every other ship in history had either vanished or retreated without understanding what they had seen. Now, Dr. Myra Chen stood at the main display, her hands moving across glowing controls. On the screen, the rift's pulses appeared as a rising and falling wave of light. It's not random, she said. The rhythm repeats every 38 seconds. Each pulse builds, then drops, then pauses, before starting again. If we move in during the drop, we should be safe. Captain Rourke folded his arms. Should be. It's the best we have, Chen replied. Talia stood beside them, her eyes on the rift's twisting edges. No one's ever tried knocking politely before, she said quietly. Over the shared channel, Zorthon Kree's voice came, sharp and impatient. Human vessel, you expect us to believe this is science. You are treating an existential threat, like a door in a hallway. Talia turned toward the voice pickup. That's exactly what it is. You've been trying to break it open. We're going to see if it opens when asked. A hiss came from the Avar Dominion commander, and if it opens to devour you. Talia didn't flinch. Then you'll have your answer. There was no reply. The silence was permission enough. Helm, Rourke ordered, bring us about. Align with the rift's pulse drop. The Resolute turned, its engines humming softly. The black and red light of the rift filled the front view, growing larger. With each second, the arcs of energy moved like the limbs of a great creature, reaching but not yet striking. Chen counted down. 38, 37, hold speed. Drop incoming in 5, 4, 3. The ship slipped forward just as the rift's glow dimmed. The arcs stilled, and for a breathless moment, nothing moved. Then they were inside. The stars vanished. Space was no longer black, but a shifting ocean of dark red mist. Shapes flickered in the distance, shadows with no source, outlines that looked almost like towers, then like bones. Readings are unstable, Chen said. Gravity fluctuating between normal and nothing. Time distortion increasing. The crew felt it. Their breaths seemed slower. Every heartbeat seemed longer. Something moved ahead. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't anything they could name. It was a mass of shadow and light, twisting like smoke and water, yet somehow solid. It floated toward them, Slow but certain. Rourke's voice was low. Contact. The thing stopped, as if it were studying them. Chen whispered, "It's matching. Our position, exactly." Double quotes. The cum crackled. A voice, deep, layered, and strange, spoke. It wasn't in any alliance language, yet somehow everyone understood. Knock. Received. The words vibrated in their bones. Talia stepped forward. "We're here to understand what you are, what you want." The shadow shifted, its form bending like liquid metal. Hunger. Rourke's hand tightened on the arm of his chair. "That's not reassuring. We consume. What drifts? What enters? It is our way." Talia's voice stayed calm, and if we entered on purpose, there was a pause. The thing's shape froze, then rippled. "Few do. None return. But why?" Talia asked. "Why destroy everything? You could. Speak." The thing tilted, not a physical gesture, but a shift in its whole being. "Most cannot listen. They burn, they fight. You did not. You danced." Chen's eyes widened. "It saw us avoiding the Orcs. It knows we matched the rhythm." Talia nodded. "Patterns speak louder than words." The thing moved closer. The screens flickered. Every system on the Resolute dipped for a second. The crew felt cold spread through the deck. "You may leave, or you may see." Talia's decision was quick. "We see." Orc looked at her sharply. "Talia." She held up a hand. "We didn't come all this way to turn back at the first answer." The shadow opened, not physically, but like space itself was splitting again. Beyond it lay a deeper dark, filled with enormous structures, each the size of moons, slowly spinning in the red mist. They were not natural. They were built. Chen's voice shook. Those are ships. Hundreds of them. All different designs. From every race in the Alliance." The voice came again. Quieter now. "They came. They stayed. They are ours." The images shifted. For a moment, Talia saw not ships, but worlds. Planets with oceans and mountains. Frozen mid-motion, as if trapped in glass. "We keep what enters. For always." Zorthon's voice suddenly cut in from the fleet outside. "Human vessel, report. You have been silent for 5 standard minutes." Rourke stared at the comm panel. 5 minutes. We've been here almost an hour." Talia felt a knot form in her stomach. Time was breaking here. The shadow's voice returned, sharper. "Time is mine." Talia knew they couldn't stay. "Thank you for showing us," she said carefully, "but we must leave now." "Few ask to leave." "But you said we could." Talia pressed. The pause was longer this time. Then, "You may." "Because you knocked." The mist around them began to fold back. The rift's red light faded. In a blink, the Resolute was outside again. The black of space and the stars rushing back into view. The Velith ship hailed instantly. "Human vessel, explain yourself. What happened in there?" Zorthon demanded. Talia looked at the rift, still pulsing in its steady rhythm. "We were invited inside," she said, "and we left before the welcome ended." No one replied. Not yet. But deep inside the rift, the shadow watched, and its pulse changed just slightly. Enough that only one species would notice. The Resolute drifted at the edge of the rift. Silent except for the low hum of its engines. The rest of the Alliance fleet stayed in a loose formation nearby, their lights distant in the black. On the bridge, Captain Rourke paced slowly. "They're not going to leave it alone," he said. "They're going to demand every detail." Talia stood at the main display, watching the rift's slow pulse. "We'll give them enough to keep them calm. Not everything." Rourke turned to her. "You don't trust them?" "I trust some," she said, "but not all. We're not the only ones looking for an advantage." The comm beeped. Zorthon Kree's voice filled the bridge, cold and sharp. "Human vessel Resolute, report to the command channel immediately. This is not a request." Talia exchanged a glance with Rourke before answering. Acknowledged. A moment later, the faces of the other fleet leaders appeared on the holodisplay. Zorthon with his silver, unblinking eyes, the six-eyed Avar commander, and two more, one from the crystalline Trelith species, whose bodies shimmered like ice under sunlight, and one from the shadow-skinned Ishan collective. Zorthon spoke first. You were inside the rift for 5 minutes by our clocks. Explain what you saw. Talia kept her voice even. We encountered something. It was aware. It spoke. It allowed us to leave. The crystalline Trelith leader leaned forward, light shifting inside their form. Allowed you? Are you saying this phenomenon is alive? Yes, Talia said, and it does not respond well to force, but it responds to patterns, to careful approach. The Isan commander's deep, slow voice rumbled. You are certain? Yes. Zorthon's mandibles clicked sharply. And how? Exactly. Did you know to match its rhythm? Was that luck? There it was again, the word they always used. Luck. Talia met his gaze. It was observation. Something humans do well when we stop talking long enough to listen. Zorthon didn't blink. Or perhaps you already knew more than you claim. Perhaps Earth has been hiding data from the Alliance. Rourke stepped forward. We had no data. We had instincts. If that makes you uncomfortable, I suggest you take it up with the rift. The Trelith leader lifted one crystal hand. Enough. We will share all data, but the human vessel will not approach alone again. All future moves will be made together. Talia didn't argue. She only nodded. Understood. The channel closed, and the bridge felt quieter, but the tension hung in the air like static. Chen turned from her console. Talia, you know they're already trying to pull our logs. Let them, Talia said. There's nothing in the logs that tells them what matters. What does matter? Rourke asked. She looked at him, her voice low. What we felt. Machines can't measure that. Hours passed in uneasy waiting. The fleet stayed at a safe distance from the rift, their scans sweeping endlessly. Reports flowed between ships, but no one dared to approach again. Then, just past the 5th hour, the rift changed. The steady heartbeat of its pulse stuttered. The arcs of energy grew longer, reaching further into space. Chen's voice was tight. It's expanding again. On the shared channel, the Avar commander barked orders. All ships, increase distance. Do not let the arcs touch you. The fleet shifted, engines flaring, but the arcs seemed to follow. They weren't random strikes, they were reaching. Talia's mind raced. It's not attacking, she murmured. It's searching. For what? Rourke asked. Chen glanced at her. For us. The comm crackled again, not from the fleet, but from inside the rift. The deep, layered voice returned. The dancers remain. The other fleet leaders reacted instantly. What is that? Where is it coming from? Talia didn't answer them. She spoke directly to the rift. We are here. But why are you reaching out? The voice was slower now, almost thoughtful. Few leave, fewer return. You may return again. The crystalline Trelith leader cut in. Ambassador Vance, do not respond further. We don't know what. Talia muted the channel. Rourke stared at her. That's going to make you popular. I'm not here to be popular, she said. I'm here to end this before it consumes the trade spine. The voice from the rift came again. Bring more dancers. We will speak, but only those who listen. Talia felt a chill. It wants us to bring others inside, Chen whispered. That's an invitation. The fleet prepared in tense silence. From each ship, 2 volunteers were chosen, 1 officer, 1 specialist. They would join the Resolute for the second entry into the rift. On the human side, Captain Rourke and Dr. Mira Chen remained. From the Velith Dominion came a tall, silver-eyed navigator named Wreath Soul, whose movements were precise as clockwork. The Avar Dominion sent Kor Thren, a 6-eyed weapons engineer with heavy, clicking armor. The crystalline Trelith offered Luma, a healer whose body shimmered in soft blue light. And from the shadow-skinned Ishon Collective came Varric, a quiet intelligence officer whose face was always unreadable. The moment they stepped aboard the Resolute, Talia could feel the weight of mistrust between them. Wreathsoul was the first to speak, his voice cold and exact. "Our orders are clear. We gather information, and if there is threat, we act." Talia nodded. "And to do that, we follow the pattern. No sudden moves, no weapons, unless I give the order." Corthren's mandibles clicked in disapproval. "You think your rhythm game will protect us from a thing that devours fleets?" "It protected us before," Rourke said, "and it's why you're still standing here, to argue about it." The docking bay sealed. The Resolute turned toward the rift. From the bridge, the view filled with black and red light. The Orcs reached lazily now, as if waiting. Chen's voice was steady. "Pulse drop in. 5, 4, 3. The ship slipped forward on the drop. No arcs struck. They entered. The red mist surrounded them again, thick and shifting. This time, the inside of the rift felt different. The strange towers and shadowy shapes seemed closer, more solid. Then, ahead, the shadow being appeared. Its form twisted and folded, larger than before. The deep, layered voice spoke. Dancers returned. Talia stepped forward. "We brought others to listen." The shadow moved slowly, circling the ship without touching it. "Some will listen, some will not." The crew felt the words in their bones. Wreathsoul stiffened, his silver eyes darting across his controls. "Its energy field is probing us, attempting to enter our systems." "Block nothing," Talia said. "Korr?" Thren hissed. "You would give it access?" "If it wanted to destroy us, it wouldn't be speaking," Talia replied. The shadow stopped in front of them. "Follow." A tear in the mist opened, and beyond, it lay a vast plain of floating shapes. They were not ships this time, but enormous fragments of cities, towers, bridges, gardens, all suspended in the red haze like broken pieces of a dream. Luma's crystal body dimmed. "These places, they feel alive, like they remember the people who walked them." Varric, the Ishon, spoke for the first time. "They are memories, kept here, trapped here." The shadow's voice rolled again. "Nothing is lost. All is kept. This is mercy." "Mercy." Rourke's voice was sharp. "You steal people and call it mercy. They are safe, unchanging, eternal." "That's not life," Chen whispered. The shadow turned slightly, as if studying her. "Life ends. This does not. You may stay, or go." Wreathsoul leaned toward Talia. "If it means what I think, it is offering immortality, the preservation of entire worlds." Talia's gut twisted, at the cost of choice. The voice came again. "Decide." The crew was silent. Somewhere in the mist, a faint sound began, a low, steady beat, like the original pulse of the rift, but faster. "Now." Chen's eyes widened. "That's not random. It's closing." Wreathsoul's hands moved quickly over his console. "The entry window is shrinking. We must leave immediately." Talia turned to the shadow. "We thank you for showing us, but we will go. Some will not." Before they could react, the red mist surged forward. The Resolute shook violently. Lights flickered. "Shields at 70%, Chen shouted. On the starboard view, a smaller Avar scout ship, one that had stayed near the rift's edge, appeared briefly before vanishing into the mist. It had been pulled in without a trace. "Engines full burn," Rourke ordered. The shadow's voice was louder now. "Some will stay. Some will dance forever." The pulse quickened. Arcs of energy flashed through the red haze. Too close. One struck the outer hull. Sparks burst across the bridge. Varric's voice cut through the chaos. "I know the pattern. Turn port, 30 degrees. Now." Rourke didn't hesitate. The Resolute banked sharply, just as another arc tore past the place they had been. Chen counted. Fast. Window in 5. 4. The rift's edge appeared ahead, a thin black cut in the mist. The Resolute surged forward, the engines screaming, then stars. Black space. The fleet thought they were out. But the Avar scout ship was gone, on the shared channel. Voices erupted, demands, accusations, panic. Zorthan's voice cut above them all. This ends now. The rift is too dangerous, no more games. Talia didn't answer. She was staring at the rift, her mind replaying the last words they had heard. Some will dance forever. The Resolute drifted in the outer edge of the Alliance fleet. Engines humming softly. The rift pulsed in the distance, calm and steady, as if nothing had happened. But the air among the fleet was tense enough to cut with a blade. Voices rang through the comm channel's accusations, questions, and sharp orders. Zorthan Kree's voice was the loudest. Human vessel, your recklessness almost cost an entire squadron. How do you justify this? Talia stood on the bridge, her eyes steady on the dark shape of the rift. We survived because we observed and adapted. We followed the rhythm. That is how humans always survive. Adapted. Korthren's clicking armor shook as he stepped forward. You call risking dozens of lives adaptation? That was madness. Rourke's hands clenched. No one else dared move closer. We did, and we learned more in those minutes than your fleets have in months of scanning. The crystalline Treleth Luma spoke softly, but firmly. There is truth in what you say, but still, many fear your approach. They fear humans gamble, and others pay the price. Talia turned to her crew. Everyone here trusted the pattern. We moved together. We survived together. That is what matters. A harsh buzz came over the comm. The Avar commander's voice trembled with anger. Survived, yes, but at what cost? One of our scout ships is gone, and for what? So humans can prove they are lucky. The accusation hung in the air. Many in the fleet muttered in agreement. Talia swallowed hard. It wasn't luck. Then what was it? Zorthan demanded, his voice sharp. Careful planning. Instinct. Something else you refused to share? Talia looked at him, her eyes calm but firm. Humans notice patterns. That is all, and we act on them. That is what you call luck. We call it survival. Rourke stepped beside her. We were lucky once, maybe, but every time after, it's skill, observation, and teamwork. There was silence for a moment. Some of the fleet leaders studied her carefully. Some still doubted. But a small part of them couldn't deny the truth. The humans had survived. And they had learned. Then the rift pulsed again, faster this time, sending waves of red light across the fleet. The sensors on every ship flickered. Chen's voice broke the tension. The rift. It's reacting to us. To the fleet's position. It's watching. Varric, the quiet Ishan officer, leaned forward. Perhaps it understands the humans best, as Orth snorted. Don't flatter yourselves. It's a void. It reacts to all of us equally. Talia shook her head. No, it reacted to us first. Our timing, our moves, our rhythm. It noticed humans. That is why we survived while others waited. The fleet shifted uneasily. For the first time, doubt crept into their eyes. Maybe humans weren't lucky. Maybe they were. Different. Suddenly, a comm alarm rang. Another small probe, sent by the Velith, vanished in a flash of red light. The rift had claimed it instantly. The Velith ship commander's voice was frantic. Pull back. We are at risk of losing another vessel. Talia stepped forward. Hold position. We know the rhythm. The rift responds to patterns. If we move with understanding, we can survive. Rourke's voice was firm, and we will show. Then Talia turned to the assembled volunteers. We will demonstrate together. Every ship, every crew member, follow the pattern. Trust what humans have learned in minutes, what others take months to understand. The fleet leaders hesitated, doubtward, with necessity. But Talia's calm confidence was persuasive. Slowly, they ordered their ships to align with the pulse. The rift's arcs moved, reaching out like fingers of energy, but now they paused at the edge of each ship's safe zone. Time slowed, tension built, and then passed without incident. The fleet was alive. They had tested the rhythm, and it had worked. Still, mistrust remained. Zorthon's voice was icy. Do not think this grants you favor. We will be watching. Human. Always. Talia met his gaze. And we will survive. Always. That is what humans do. Later, in the quiet of the bridge, Rourke exhaled. You can't win over every species with one dance. Talia smiled faintly. No, but sometimes surviving the first dance is enough. Chen walked up, her brow furrowed. There's more. The rift isn't just a predator, it's a keeper. It collects what it chooses. We were invited. Others aren't. Talia nodded. That's why it noticed us first. That's why it let us leave. It can tell who understands, and who doesn't, and that is why humans survive. Varric, silent until now, added quietly. Then humans are not lucky. They are readable. They follow patterns the rift understands. Rourke shook his head in disbelief. Readable. I've never heard anyone call humans that before. Talia looked at the rift's faint pulse in the distance. Then let them call it luck. It will give us time, and when the time comes, we will show them what humans really do. The fleet hovered in uneasy truce, the rift's red light bathing every hull. Political lines were beginning to fracture. The Resolute moved forward once more, this time with a small task force of ships from the other species. Talia felt the weight of their distrust pressing on every step. Their eyes followed her, waiting for the humans to fail. She knew what they didn't yet understand. Humans thrived in chaos, not in order. The rift loomed ahead, dark red and black, twisting like a living wound in the universe. Its pulse beat faster now, faster than before, as if it sensed the fleet approaching with confidence. Chen studied the sensors with wide eyes. The pulse has changed. Faster, more aggressive. If we misstep, then we adapt, Talia said. Her voice carried calm authority. Just like last time. Observe. Move with the rhythm. Survive. Rourke's hand rested on the controls. Every ship ready. The others nodded, hesitating only briefly. They had seen humans survive before, but this was different. The rift was alive, aware, and watching. The Resolute led the task force into the pulsing mist. Shadows twisted around them, taller and denser than before. The arcs of energy flickered, searching for weaknesses. The Velith ship quivered. Zorthon Kree's voice was tight. I see it reaching for us already. Human, you are foolish. Talia didn't reply. She watched the arcs carefully, noticing their subtle patterns, slight delays, repeated sequences, a rhythm beneath the chaos. Humans could sense it instinctively. Port side, 5 degrees. Varric shouted, reading the pattern. The Resolute turned smoothly. The arcs shifted past them harmlessly. Copy that, Rourke said, steering the ship. All units, follow the pattern. Do not deviate. One by one, the other ships adjusted. The arcs brushed past their shields, but never touched them. Every movement was precise, yet it felt alive, natural, like dancing in a storm. Inside the Resolute, Talia could feel her crew's hearts beating fast. Fear was present, but it didn't control them. Humans had long learned to use fear as a guide, to focus energy into strategy. Ahead, the shadow being loomed larger. Its voice filled the minds of all on the bridge. You dance well, but will you understand the final step? Talia nodded silently. We'll find out. The pulse quickened again. Arcs twisted, combining, forming a lattice of energy that seemed impossible to navigate. Ships shivered under the strain. Sensors went haywire. Chen's voice was tight. It's trying to force us into a corner. It's testing us. Then we don't fight it, Talia said. We flow with it. Rourke and Chen exchanged glances, then began executing maneuvers that only humans could instinctively sense: slight deviations, micro-adjustments, movements timed not to avoid but to communicate. The Orcs followed the movements instead of striking. The other fleet members stared, hesitant at first, then copied the rhythm. Slowly, they realized that humans were not moving blindly. They were reading the rift, responding to its heartbeat rather than just trying to survive. The shadow being's voice pulsed again. Few survive observation. Fewer survive understanding. You see more than I expected. Talia swallowed hard. We see because we look. We survive because we try. And we endure because we never stop moving, never stop learning. Another surge of energy came, stronger and faster than before. The lattice of Orcs twisted into a cage around the fleet. For a moment, it felt like the end. Then Rourke made a sudden move, banking the Resolute through a narrow gap in the lattice. The other ships hesitated, but followed. One by one, they passed through the cage safely, perfectly timed with the rhythm that humans had discerned. The shadow being pulsed brightly, almost in shock. You are different. You do not merely survive. You adapt. You lead, even when others doubt. Talia felt a thrill run through her veins. That's what humans do. We take the impossible, and we make it possible. Chen checked the readouts. The rift. It's responding to us differently. Its energy is stabilizing. It's no longer aggressive. The pulse slowed. The lattice of Orcs dissipated. The red mist parted, revealing a vast area within the rift, calm for the first time. The shadow being hovered silently, now still, almost observing. Varric spoke quietly. It allowed you to show it, the human way. Talia looked at the fleet, at their exhausted but awed faces. We didn't just survive. We taught. We led. That is why we are here. That is why humans endure. Rourke exhaled and smiled. We survived, and we proved it to everyone, even the rift. The fleet floated in silent respect. The Velith, the Avar, the Traelith, even Zorthon Kree, they had seen it. Humanity was not luck. Humanity was instinct, intelligence, courage, and determination combined. The shadow being pulsed one last time. Its voice reverberated in their minds. You may leave. You are different. Remember this, dancers. You have shown understanding. You may return. Talia nodded. We will remember, and we will use what we have learned to protect the galaxy. As the task force exited the rift, the fleet was changed. Mistrust remained, but awe had begun to replace it. Humans were not just unpredictable. They were leaders, capable of seeing and acting in ways no other species could. On the bridge, Talia felt a surge of pride. She looked at her crew, at Rourke, Chen, and the volunteers from other species. Every one of them had followed the pattern, survived the impossible, and helped prove that humans were more than chance. The rift pulsed one final time in the distance, calm now, almost respectful. Talia whispered quietly, mostly to herself, but loud enough for the crew to hear. Humans don't wait for luck. We make our own. Asterisk. The fleet regrouped at the edge of the rift. Its pulses now slow and steady, as if acknowledging their presence. Silence hung over the ships. For the first time, the other species looked at the humans not with suspicion, but with awe. Talia stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her eyes scanning the distant red haze. We showed them we survive, she said softly. But now they need to see why. Rourke leaned beside her. Some will never understand, no matter what we do. But some will, Talia replied. And those are the ones who matter. The fleet had gathered, their leaders hovering in holograms around the Resolute. Zorthon Kree, usually sharp and impatient, was quiet. The Ishan officer Varric's expression was unreadable, yet she felt respect radiating from him. Even Core Thren's clicking armor sounded calmer than before. Chen's fingers flew over the controls. The rift's energy signature is stabilizing completely. It's like it trusts us now. Talia nodded. It doesn't trust easily, but it recognizes patterns. And humans, we see patterns others miss. Wreath's soul, the Veleth navigator, leaned toward her. Explain. Others in the fleet will not believe this. Talia took a deep breath. We don't just react. We observe, adapt, and connect. When danger comes, we notice its rhythm, its flaws. We learn, and then we act. That is why the rift allowed us in the first time. That is why we returned. The other leaders absorbed her words. The Avar commander's 6 eyes blinked slowly. So it is not luck, he said. It is instinct guided by thought. Yes, Talia said. We combine caution and courage. We notice, we calculate, we endure. And when others falter, we move forward. That is human nature. The shadow being's voice pulsed through the rift once more, low and deep. You understand. Few can you survive. Differently. Rourke clenched his fists. It sees us differently now. Talia smiled faintly. We don't just survive. We lead. We teach. We prove that the impossible can be faced and overcome. The fleet leaders exchanged glances. Awe replaced doubt. For centuries, humans had been underestimated, slow to join the Galactic Alliance, primitive in technology, unpredictable in strategy. Yet here they were, proving that instinct, intelligence, and courage were more dangerous than any weapon. Luma, the Trellith healer, spoke, her voice shimmering. They are right, humans. Their approach is unlike anything we have known. They notice patterns in chaos where we see only danger. Varric added quietly. They inspire, and when inspired, others follow. That is what the rift has recognized. Chen turned to Talia, her eyes shining. Do you think it will let us leave safely this time? Talia nodded. It already has, and we've shown the others that humans are not just lucky. We are deliberate, observant, and brave, sometimes reckless, but always capable. The fleet remained near the rift's edge, each species reconsidering its assumptions about humanity. For the first time, the whispers of doubt about human survival, their luck, and their recklessness were replaced with recognition. Humans had something no other species had mastered, the ability to read patterns in life itself and act with courage and ingenuity. Zor. Then Kreese, Silver Eyes met Talia's humans. Perhaps you are more valuable than we believed. Talia smiled. More than we seem, but value is earned, not given. We earned this moment together, with our crew, and with every choice we made inside that rift. Rourke placed a hand on her shoulder. The fleet has seen it. The galaxy is watching, and we survived everything the rift could throw at us. The shadow being pulsed one final time, a faint ripple of light that seemed almost like approval. Remember, dancers, few survive the pattern. You are remembered. Talia looked at the distant red glow, now calm and distant. She felt the weight of the moment. The fleet had learned that humans were different, that their courage, adaptability, and clarity of mind under pressure made them extraordinary. Let's go home, she said softly. We have shown them who humans are. The fleet turned, engines flaring as they left the rift behind. Stars returned, black and sparkling. The galaxy stretched out before them, vast and full of dangers yet to come. But for now, humanity had proven